Today I'm going to try to show you some guitar basics, how to write a chord progression, how to put a melody over it, and to do all this without having to memorize key signatures or the circle of fifths or that kind of stuff. I'm making this video not because I'm a good guitar teacher or a good guitar player. I'm neither of those things. I'm making this video because it's the video that I wish somebody would have made for me. I got a few different puzzle pieces to put together, and I found all of these puzzle pieces in other YouTubers' videos, particularly Brian Kelly's and Stitch Method. Those two guys are pretty good. But I didn't find a single video that has all of this in it, so that's what I'm gonna try to make. So there are some prerequisites, some things you need to know before what I'm going to show you will make sense or be usable, but not very many at all. And if you've been playing guitar for any amount of time at all, like 4 or 5 months, you probably know all of this stuff already as far as prerequisites go. And the prerequisites are, you need to know 4 basic chord shapes, which is a major bar chord rooted on the E note, like on the 1st fret. Let me kill some of this distortion. Okay, a major bar chord rooted on the E string, so like at the 1st fret. A major chord rooted at the A string, so like a what is this? A B chord, or C chord rather. Sorry. And a minor chord rooted at the E string, so like an E minor, and a minor chord rooted on the A string, so like a C minor. So those 4 chord shapes, basic stuff. The other thing that you need to know is basic pentatonic scale. So major and minor pentatonic, they're really the same notes. So major would be like My Girl. Oops. Just depends on what note you emphasize. If you emphasize this note, then it's minor. If you emphasize this note, then it's major. And then the final thing that you need to know ahead of time is how to know the notes on the E string and the A string, because we're going to use those to find, and I've already made one mistake in this video. So for example, we got your E, F, G, A, E, C, D, E. You got your A on the A string, open A, and then B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Knowing those things. Next, so we want to write a chord progression and a melody line over the top. So to write the chord progression, you need to know that you need to pick a key, and there are 12 keys if we count the major and the relative minor as being the same key. For example, C major and A minor, they have the same notes, the same chords, so they're kind of the same thing. So how do you know what chords? Let's say we pick A major as the key we want to write our little chord progression in. How do we know what chords go in the key? Well, one way would be to memorize the circle of fifths, or go look at the circle of fifths and see what it says. But maybe you left your circle of fifths at home and you didn't memorize it. So there's an easier way. what you do is you say A major. All right, what's the A note on the low E string? Well, at the 5th fret. And then we take our E note, E string rooted major chord. We got an A major chord. That's our 1 chord. Now, in each of the keys, there are 3 major chords and 3 minor chords and a diminished chord. We're going to ignore the diminished chord. So we have 6 chords, 3 major and 3 minor. We already found one of the major keys. Where are the other major keys? Well, they're right here. And if you play Louie Louie, that's your 1, 4, and your 5 chord. 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord. So now we got 3 of the major chords. And if you had been playing instead of A, you had been playing B, well then they would have been here at the 7th fret. So that's an easy way to find the major chords. The minor chords are right up here. You got your E string rooted minor chord shape, 2 frets up again, and then your A string rooted minor chord. So that's your 6 chords of your major key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you those numbers, if you see chords written as Roman numerals, that's Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's for major. For minor keys, like say D minor, you find your D on your A string, which is again at the 5th fret, but the A string. And you do your minor chord shape rooted on the A string. There's your D minor. That's your 1 chord for your minor key, your D minor key. Now, the relative major of D minor is F, which is back here. And we already know the chords of the F major key because they're in that shape I just showed you. There's the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 6. And since F major is the relative major of D minor, we know that those 2 keys share the same chords. So those chords, I can play them, right? Those chords are the chords of D minor. They're also the chords of F major. Now, the numbers are different, the Roman numerals. So for F major, the D minor chord is the 6th chord. So the 6th chord of the major key is the relative minor key. But the numbers are different. For minor, you got the 1 chord as the D minor, and then the 2 chord you skip because it's diminished, and then you go back to F, and that's your 3, and then your 4, and then your 5, and then your 6, and then your 7. 1, 2, 3, 1, skip 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to the 1. So that's your, now with that knowledge you can find for any key, you can find all the chords that go in that key. So now when you want to make your chord progression, let's say we want to do something simple like 4 chords that just repeat over and over. So for your first chord, just pick the 1 chord. For your second and third chord, pick any chord from the key. Any chord from the key. And for your 4th chord, pick the 4 or pick the 5. And then just repeat that. So that's how you build. So you could, for example, let's say we want to go in D minor. So our 1 chord would be D minor. And then let's say let's see, we got our 1, our 3, our 4, and our 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So we could do, say we do a 1, a 6, a 7, and a 4. So we do. that's our chord progression. And you can, and all those things go together. Now, the next step is to play some sort of melody over that chord progression. And the way that you do that is use your pentatonic scale. So if I'm in D minor, so I want to find a D on the E string, which would be E, F, G, A, B, C, E here. So let me record my D minor progression into my looper. Playing my pentatonic over that. So you see, it kind of works. The reason that it works is because the pentatonic scale, those 5 notes, are what's left after you remove all of the notes that don't work over any chord in the key. Or to put it another way, every note in the pentatonic scale sounds good over every chord in the key. So if when you make your backing track, you stick to the chords in the key, when you play the pentatonic over, it's going to work. So that's basically what I wanted to get across in this video is, number one, this idea of playing the pentatonic over your chords from the key, and hey, look at that, it works. And number two, how to easily find what the chords in the key are without having to memorize the circle of fifths or the key signatures of all the keys and the sharps and the flats and all that kind of junk. So that sums up sort of the easy basics of how to write a harmonized melody part over a chord progression. Hope this is helpful.